The Fed is cooked. That is right. To borrow a word from my kids' generation, they are totally cooked. And I think they know it. They are really between a rock and a hard place. If I see one more former Fed chairman or economist coming on a CNBC saying how they achieved the impossible, the soft landing, it's definite, it is here, there's no way, but I just don't. I don't. Oh man, I don't get it. They are totally cooked, and I don't. They either don't see it or don't want to see it. All the pundits that they don't want to. They don't want to say the quiet part out loud, right? But if you look at all the data, you can see that they have nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. First, the jobs report is awful. The jobs situation is absolutely terrible. Um, I don't really understand how it went down to 4.2 from 4.3 when in between the 4.2 and 4.3 they revised the number of jobs created last year down by 818,000 or 0.5%. Hmm. And then the jobs report, the number of jobs created last month was not outstanding. So they just decided to remove about 1 million people from the workforce, I guess. That's the only thing I could really think of. They just got ahead and said, these 1 million people, they're not looking for jobs anymore. So we're going to take them off. So, but they're either ignorant or they don't want to see it. But the Fed has to know that those jobs numbers are completely fake. So they know they have to cut because it's weaker. It's way weaker than what people think. But that's the hard place. The rock that they're in between is inflation. The inflation data is not good. People see they want to focus on the headline CPI number that came down to what 2.5 from 2.9. They want to focus on that. But it's only because energy costs came down, and we know how volatile energy costs are. Um, what happens when they decide to turn off the spigot from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, and energy costs shoot back up? What happens, God forbid, if Kamala wins and they just go ahead and rescind drilling permits and land leases like crazy, in this moronic quest for green energy, which we know is a complete fabrication at this point. What happens when energy costs go back up? Because everything else went up. All other items, if you look at the core CPI, it stayed the same. It was flat. So what happens if inflation actually isn't coming down? What if it's plateaued again? Everyone was all excited at the beginning of this year because they made progress on inflation, and then it was plateaued. It plateaued out. It's hung around 4%. It went from 4.1 to 3.9 over the 6-month period. So what if it's flattened out there, and now they decide to lower the funds rate because they're in between an inflation rate that's not all the way down yet, but an economy that is stalling. So what do they do other than realize that they're totally cooked? Oh man. So what are they going to do? Are they going to go real soft and just go a quarter point, lower by quarter point, which is nothing. uh it's nothing. They're so far behind anyway. We see the gap, between the twos and the funds rate. They're so far behind the curve that which is what they that's par for the course for them. So oh man, I they just there's nothing they can do. And if anybody real, this is my favorite data point to point to. If anyone thinks that the Fed really truly knows what they're doing, if they're all blown away tomorrow afternoon with a Fed speech that maybe seems confident, but we'll see how good of an actor Powell really is. The good thing is he's very dry and level, so it's hard to really really, take anything that he gives you, for because he's so to the point, right? But this is my favorite thing. If anyone really has any confidence in the Fed at all, this is the Fed dot plot from September of 2021. Look at how low this is. Look at how low their projections are. They, for the most part, the consensus was that the funds rate by 2024 would be up to only 2 to 2.25%. That's what they are projecting. Now, mind you, in September of 2021, the August inflation rate in 2021, the core was at 4%, and the headline CPI was at like 6.9. So if they did not see the writing on the wall, inflation spiking from 1% all the way up to in between 4 and 6.9, whichever one you want to use, in 8 months, and this was their projection using that data they had at that time, then they have no idea what they're doing. Or they're just, obviously, all they're doing is following the 2-year and kind of going from there. And so as the two-year goes, so does the Fed. So why are we even really paying attention to what they do? The biggest thing for me tomorrow is what kind of vibes we get, what the tone is, what those little bitty snips that get said that really kind of show us or tell us what they were really talking about. It's not as a whole all the talking points or the scripted speech. It's questions answered and the overall tone. So that's what we will see coming out. But I think that they are in for some difficult decisions coming forward because everything is not as it seems with the data that they're given. Till next time, Beyond the Rate, out.